First at 10 on this Tuesday night, bad weather affecting much of the country. 2 storms just as the busy Thanksgiving travel season is about to get underway. Some people might be braving the storm, others might be changing plans because of it. And Jeff Cox kicks off our coverage tonight with this report.
Thanksgiving is just 2 days away, but millions of folks across the country could have a tough time getting to their turkey dinners thanks to major storm systems forming from California to New England, the West Coast getting pummeled by high winds, heavy rain, and snow, while another storm is creating blizzard-like conditions from the Rockies to the Midwest.
It's lovely weather in which we're having has been forecast for quite a number of days now, and it came down and people weren't ready.
Airlines are scrambling to keep up with the weather, but there have already been hundreds of flight cancellations and delays, and that's expected to get even worse on Wednesday.
So our airlines canceled flights in advance just based off the storm. I mean, you could see all around us. It's really heavy winds. It's low visibility.
The Northeast also expecting a major storm system to hit hard on Wednesday. Folks there are gearing up for heavy rain and snow that could make driving dangerous, with most saying they'll take it slow on the roads.
Just give, plenty of space in front of you on the roads and try to make sure that your partner is not freaking out while they're driving.
Despite the wicked weather, local officials and travel employees say they're ready to help passengers get home for the holidays.
I help them out a little bit and just give them a friendly smile and just know it's going to be okay.
And Jeff is in the Skywatch Weather Center tonight. Jeff, AAA says more than 55 million Americans traveling at least 50 miles or more from home this Thanksgiving, and many of those will have to deal with some of that nasty weather.
Exactly right, Aaron. We have 2 weather systems that will be tracking crossing the country in time for the Thanksgiving holiday, and as you mentioned, many folks are likely to be impacted. Welcome into the Skywatch Weather Center. Here's a loop of the radar over the last 6 hours, and you've got 2 winter storms, the first through the nation's midsection tonight. Big snowmaker in Colorado. Some places are measuring snow in feet there. That snow tonight moving through Sioux Falls, the center of this storm system headed for the Great Lakes region. This is the same storm system that will bring us a small chance of rain tomorrow. Then weather system number 2, it's coming in out west. Oregon, California, and Nevada all getting snow tonight. That system will cross the country in the coming days. A 1-2 punch for many folks out west. Here in middle Georgia, though, it's no winter weather. In fact, it'll be much warmer tonight than it was last night. Notice most of the region in the 50s. Now, if you're east of I-75, we have seen the 40s dominate this evening. Dublin, you're down to 43. Irwinton, you're at 49. But I think the metro area will likely stay around 50 tonight, if not actually warming up during the overnight hours. So our day planner calls for the 50s at 8 o'clock as warmer air starts coming in from the south. Low 70s by lunchtime and low to mid 70s for the afternoon. So tomorrow, a very warm day, but also a day of limited sunshine and a couple of showers as well. All right, coming up in just a bit, we'll take this small rain chance. We'll track it hour by hour. I'll have the national maps before the hour is over, and of course, rain this weekend. And you can't forget, it is the forecast you always ask for and we deliver every year. My annual winter forecast. Is it going to snow this winter? You'll find out in less than 20 minutes. Aaron?
Genuinely surprised it wasn't already a law. It seems like just a common sense thing to have to protect our animals.
Abusing animals is now a federal crime. Less than 24 hours ago, President Trump signing the Preventing Animal Cruelty and Torture Act into law. Wgxa's Jayla Whitfield joining us now with local reaction about the new statements in history. Jayla.
Yeah, Aaron, at one point it was unacceptable, but now it's illegal. President Trump called this law a very important signing. He believes this bill will help people be more responsible and human stewards of our planet. Now, this law will allow authorities to crack down on some of the worst acts of animal cruelty. Middle Georgia resident Virginia Turner says the measure before Trump signed the PACT Act was merely a slap on the wrist.
Cruelty, I mean, we've seen cruelty to people, but there's something about a helpless creature that cannot defend itself. I mean, can to a degree, but can't really defend itself. And that animal needs protection.
Now, in August, 2 residents were put in custody facing animal cruelty charges. And in February, a Macon man was arrested after 25 dogs were seized from his home for dog fighting. It's cases like this that may have harsher punishments in the future. Now, many say this law is a historic leap for animals. The federal offense can be punishable with fines and up to 7 years in prison. For now, in the studio, Jayla Whitfield.
Well, thanks. New at 10, the Bibb County Sheriff's Office says a man robbed Harbor Freight Tools on Eisenhower Parkway in Macon with a gun. And officials say the incident caused Central Georgia Technical College in Macon to go on a soft lockdown. No one was injured. Anyone with information about this should contact the Bibb County Sheriff's Office.
Air conditioners are going out. People are living with box fans and they're on oxygen. We have mold growing everywhere in the building.
Problematic and dangerous living conditions. That's what was described to the Vineville Christian Towers in Macon. Residents first told us about the problems at the complex back in June. And we learned just today that there could soon be some changes to improve that building. We know a Boston company looking to buy the property updated Macon Bibb commissioners today about their plans. Elliot White from Weston Associates talked about their progress and asked for money. He's hoping the county will loan him $400,000 from home fund loans on the contingency that they get low-income housing credit from the Georgia Department of Community Affairs.
The building needs to be repointed and resealed. All of the windows need to be replaced. There needs to be a new roof. The security systems in the building need to be upgraded. The life safety systems will be upgraded. All of the major mechanical, HVAC, the PTAC units in the different apartments, the elevators, everything will be either brand new or refurbished.
This resolution was passed by the committee and will go to the full commission on Tuesday. Developing tonight across the nation and the world, at least 20 people are dead and hundreds more injured after an earthquake. Also, California battling yet another wildfire, forcing several people to evacuate. And a sad update about a koala that made national headlines after being rescued from a brush fire. The death toll continues to rise after that major earthquake this morning in Albania. It's the strongest to hit in 4 decades there. The 6.4 magnitude earthquake toppled buildings, and neighboring countries sent in first responders to help search for survivors. Santa Barbara County in California is under a state of emergency tonight after a fire sparked late yesterday afternoon. The cave fire has led to inferno conditions along some area roads. Officials ordered evacuations as the flames advanced toward populated areas. Many homes worth several $1 million are threatened. The fire has scorched more than 4,000 acres, and firefighting resources from neighboring counties are helping battle that blaze. And Lewis the koala, the one rescued from an Australian brush fire, has died. Officials made that decision to euthanize Lewis today after inspecting his wounds. They say it became clear his burns were not going to improve. Now, Lewis was estimated to be about 14 years old. He became popular after this video circulated on social media that showed a motorist running from her car to help the koala. Animal experts fear more than 350 of the marsupials have been killed.
I need to see your driver's license, please. I understand that, sir. This is not going to take long. I need to see your driver's license, please.
Officer training taken to the next level. Straight ahead, the technology helping some new officers in Georgia de-escalate potentially dangerous situations. New at 10, the month of November is National Diabetes Month to bring awareness to the disease. And with Thanksgiving 2 days away, it can be a troublesome time for diabetics. Our Nick Gibson spoke with a certified diabetes educator. So, Nick, what should people be looking out for?
Yeah, that's right, Aaron. I spoke with Rondi today, and she tells me controlling the portion size is key as a diabetic because this prevents them from feeling bad later after their Thanksgiving dinner.
We really don't know exactly what causes it, because if we did, we could cure it.
The month of November is National Diabetes Awareness Month, and according to the CDC, 30 million adults are living with diabetes and 84 million are pre-diabetic. I asked one doctor in Macon what causes diabetes and what are some of the warning signs you may not be aware of.
Two most common that we see in people are excessive thirst and excessive urination. Excessive urination is the body's way of trying to get that glucose out. And as we're getting rid of that through urine, we get dehydrated. And so our brain tells us, hey, you're thirsty. So it's constant thirst and constant urination.
One common belief that people think is diabetes can be obtained by eating or drinking too many sugars for a long period of time. But Radney tells me that is not the case.
I could sit down right now, I don't have diabetes, and eat an entire sheet of birthday cake. One of my favorite things in the whole world. And within 2 hours, my blood sugar will be back to normal, because the problem is with the pancreas, which is an organ that sits behind our stomach, and it has two main functions. It releases enzymes that help digest our food, and it releases insulin. That's the hormone. And so the problem is your pancreas either isn't making enough insulin, or the insulin it makes doesn't work right.
So does that mean Thanksgiving Day will need to be celebrated differently for diabetics? Radney says not exactly.
One, make sure you're eating all your meals and you don't save up all your carbs to eat at one time, because it will just elevate your sugar.
Now, Radney also tells me to make sure you control that portion size as well when it comes to your carbs. And if making dinner, make non-starchy vegetables. For more information about this story, head over to our website. Reporting from the studio, I'm Nick Gibson.
If you're hitting the road for Thanksgiving, state troopers will be out in full force. Millions of people are making plans to kick off the holiday season with a trip 50 miles or more away from home. Here in Georgia, there will be an estimated 1.6 million travelers hitting the road.
Sheriff's Office, Georgia State Patrol, motor carriers going to be out checking trucks. Everybody's going to be out to try to keep the motoring public of Georgia safe as they go to get into the holiday season.
AAA says this is expected to be the second highest Thanksgiving travel volume since the year 2000.
One time.
Whose house?
Ray House.
Free food just in time for Thanksgiving. The Baldwin County School District partnered with the Middle Georgia Community Food Bank to ensure the Baldwin County community is able to have a good meal this Thanksgiving.
We have a lot of neighborhoods that are considered food deserts, and so families don't have access to grocery stores, be able to provide, buy nutritious meals. And so this is a way for us to give back. And plus, it's Thanksgiving, so we have families that will go without.
Volunteers prepared bags of food for 250 families this afternoon. House impeachment investigators releasing transcripts from interviews just ahead. We'll tell you what's being revealed tonight. House impeachment investigators today released the final closed-door interview transcripts from State Department and Office of Management and Budget officials. Mark Sandy was initially part of the freezing of the $400 million in U.S. security aid to Ukraine. That process was taken over by a political appointee to sign the documents delaying the aid. State Department official Philip Reeker testified that he wasn't aware of the push for Ukraine to announce investigations into President Trump's political rivals. He also said top officials under Secretary of State Mike Pompeo had blocked an effort to release a statement of support for ousted U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch. President Donald Trump signing an executive order today to address the issue of missing and murdered American Indians and Alaska Natives. Administration officials, along with leaders of several Indian tribes from Minnesota, Utah, Montana, and Arizona, were in attendance. The executive order establishes a federal task force seeking justice. As many as 5,000 are reported missing or murdered every year. House Democrats are moving forward with impeachment proceedings following the 2-month investigation led by the House Intelligence Committee. Reed Binion reports tonight.
The House Judiciary Committee announced Tuesday it would hold its first impeachment hearing next week on December 4th, with more expert witnesses set to share their testimony. The committee chairman, Democrat Jerry Nadler, invited the president and his counsel to attend the hearing, as well as participate by questioning the witnesses. Trump took to social media, saying he would like to see some of his top officials, like Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Secretary of Energy Rick Perry, testify during the hearing, but says future presidents should in no way be compromised. When asked whether he would actually testify, Pompeo had this to say.
The president tweeted just a short while ago that he'd encourage you essentially to testify in the impeachment investigation. Is that something you're considering?
When the time is right, all good things happen.
While Trump has made no mention of whether he will testify or has plans to, his counselor Kellyanne Conway opposes the idea.
I certainly wouldn't advise the president at this point to testify or to provide written answers.
The hearing announcement comes as the Intelligence Committee plans to release its report summarizing its investigation after Congress returns from its Thanksgiving recess next week. I'm Reed Binion reporting.
It is by far the most popular forecast of the year, our winter forecast, and today you have to wait no longer. Now, before we get into what we expect this winter, let's remind you of what we had last winter. If you were a snow lover, a cold weather lover, it was a winter to forget. You'll remember it ended up being warmer than average, and it was wetter than average, and of course, there was no snow. It's hard to get snow in this region, but last year, big goose egg in the snow measurements. So what do we expect this winter? Well, there were three factors that went into the winter forecast. Is there going to be an El Nino or La Nina? We're talking about the water temperature off the west coast of South America. How much Arctic sea ice is out there, and how does that influence our forecast? And is that connected to climate change? We'll tackle that over the next couple of minutes. Let's talk about El Nino and La Nina first. So remember, that has to do with the water temperatures off the west coast of South America. Now, this season, we don't expect either. We expect it to remain neutral, meaning those water temperatures are right around average. So what does that mean for the weather patterns in the United States? Well, let's find out. Here comes the example for the neutral phase. So it's warm and wet in the deep south. That means keep the umbrellas close by, and a lot of the cold air stays bottled up north. Having said that, it also results in a pretty active weather pattern, so while it may be warm and wet for a good chunk of the winter, it doesn't rule out drawing in some cold weather for a little mischief from time to time. Let's talk about that Arctic sea ice, because that's a big part of the forecast as well. And in the end, that connects to climate change. How much ice is around the North Pole to keep air masses cold for an extended period of time? Well, let's bring the globe back, and you can see the Arctic sea ice plotted on the map there. Unfortunately, Arctic sea ice continues to run well below average. Think about this as an insulator. As cold air comes over the ice, the more ice you have, the colder the air stays. The less ice you have, a chance for that air to warm up as it crosses from the Arctic into North America. In the end, with lower than average sea ice, we're seeing less spells of extreme cold as it comes into North America. And simply put, we're skating on thin ice. This is nothing new, folks. This is when it starts connecting to climate change. So you take today's amount of sea ice and compare it to several decades ago, and our partners at Climate Central showing their analysis, certainly a lot lower in the amount of sea ice than what we had just a few decades ago. So this is a story that will always be a part of our winter forecast, because this trend really not going anywhere anytime soon. So we've talked about the amount of Arctic sea ice. We've talked about El Nino and La Nina and how that will be absent this winter. So let's put it all together. What do we expect for winter in Georgia? Well, here's the end result, folks. I think we're looking at a warmer than average winter, a wetter than average winter, and I know it's counterintuitive, warm and wet, but in the end, this active storm track could create better chances for snow, but in the end, maybe not much in the way of accumulation. You know, wouldn't it be nice if it was simple as a snap of the finger? Well, this may be all the snow we get this winter when it's all said and done, so I thought I'd bring it in for good measure. I'd love to know what you think about our winter forecast. It's posted on our website and our social media pages. Head over there and leave your comments. Now all we have to do is sit back and relax and see how the winter plays out. I'm Jeff Cox in the Skywatch Weather Center.
Thanksgiving is just 2 days away. Why the food we all enjoy on Thanksgiving might be changing. Breaking news just into our newsroom right now. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office has arrested a suspect for a murder that happened last Friday. The victim, 23-year-old Jamie Johnson, was found in the street with multiple gunshot wounds. Today, Darren Fields was booked with no bond for murder at the Bibb County Jail. This is a developing story. Anyone with information about this murder is asked to contact the Sheriff's Office. Well, one Southwest Georgia city will be looking a lot brighter this week as it carries out a 20-year-old tradition. Each year, community members in the city of Moultrie participate in the Lights event. The event brings in visitors from all over the state to come and see the light display. The city did recently change to only using LED lights. Amy Johnson, who's in charge of Moultrie's downtown development, says it's a one-of-a-kind experience.
The canopy of lights is an icon really for the city of Moultrie and Colquitt County. Our citizens are very proud of it and look forward to it every year because we bring in visitors from all over to see the unique display of lights. So it's a tradition.
The event will take place on Thanksgiving night. That's this Thursday. The lights will continue to be on through the first week of January. Well, it's almost time to get that turkey ready, and food safety experts are once again stirring up the debate of whether or not to wash the turkey before you cook it. They say don't wash the turkey before putting it in the oven. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Service says this can cause bacteria to spread to other foods and surfaces nearby, which increases the risk of foodborne illness. Well, a recent USDA study found about 60% of kitchens were contaminated after people rinsed raw poultry in the sink. Experts say the only way to kill bacteria is to just fully cook the turkey, making sure the innermost parts have reached 165 degrees. Nearly 1/3 of Americans are thinking about ditching meat this Thanksgiving, and that is if you believe research from the Meatless Farm Company. It says the shift in attitude towards meat is mostly being driven by a younger generation of Americans. They claim nearly 60% of people surveyed are considering going meat-free due to health concerns over meat. The firm surveyed 1,000 Americans across a variety of age groups.
Two things. Good luck convincing my wife to not wash the turkey. That's going to happen. And B, I think his turkey needed to cook a little bit longer. The video didn't look quite done to me. All right, let's talk travel delays. Tomorrow, busiest travel day of the year, right? And we've got two weather systems that are going to create some havoc. So tonight we've got our big weather system moving into the Great Lakes region. Right now we're delay-free in Minneapolis and Chicago. That's good news. The East Coast, pretty smooth travels tonight. Now, out west, winter storm number 2, look at San Francisco. We've got the red plane on there, meaning we've got some pretty big delays in San Fran right now, and I don't see that ending anytime soon. So West Coast travel and upper Midwest travel is a big concern this evening. Now, if you're expecting family coming in, maybe landing at Hartsfield-Jackson this evening, you may hear them say, oh, travel was great, we were on time, but it was a little bumpy. Here's why. Every plane on this map represents a current turbulence report from pilots that are flying right now. And notice a big chunk of them are right around that big winter storm headed for the Great Lakes. So while your friends and family may fly in right on time, they may be talking about the speed bumps they crossed over as they land tonight. Pretty incredible amount of turbulence reports coming in, and a lot of orange on the map here, which represents moderate turbulence. We'll put that on a 3 out of 5 scale level. So let's talk about travel concerns tomorrow. Our East Coast system pushing through the Great Lakes in the southeast, a little bit of rain in Georgia, but nothing to write home about. And then our big winter storm really kicks into gear out west. That system kicks east for Thanksgiving Day. So we've got snow once again near Denver and east into parts of Nebraska and Kansas, and rain for Texas, a little stormy there as well. But here in the deep south, things are looking really, really nice for Thanksgiving Day. Coming up in our second half hour, we'll talk about the rain that is coming for middle and southwest Georgia. In the end, the headline may be the lack of rain tomorrow. I'll have that coming up.
Law enforcement officers in Georgia are used to training in simulators. Just ahead, we're going behind the scenes to see how new technology is improving their training. A Georgia Sheriff's Department hopes new state-of-the-art technology can help better train officers to prevent deadly shootings involving members of law enforcement. Fox's Doug Evans shows us how it works.
We've shown you these police simulators in the past, but this one uses new technology to make the experience more realistic, both for the eyes and for the ears. No other law enforcement agency in Georgia has a simulator quite like it.
Sir, listen to me. I need to see your driver's license, please. I understand that, sir. This is not going to take long. I need to see your driver's license, please.
This is the Megit Systems FATS 180 LE Next Generation Virtual Training Simulator. It features realistic video, surround sound, and weapons that look and feel like the real thing. The sheriff says it's helping train deputies to deal with real-life threats when seconds count.
Now, more than ever, there's a huge call for there to be multi-layers of training as far as use of force and de-escalation, different force options. And using this firearm simulator, it gives us the chance to cover that whole spectrum because the public expects more out of law enforcement training now.
Nearly every law enforcement agency uses these video simulators to train and especially evaluate an officer's judgment in tough situations. What makes this one different is that it has 3 screens and surround sound to make the video experience more realistic.
You saw one of the scenarios where he was like in an office building and you have different areas of the office on each side. And You could have somebody scream over here, or you could have somebody yell out over here when what you're focusing on is on a completely different screen. And it draws your attention to those things because things can happen all the way around you.
The Spalding County Sheriff's Office was the first in Georgia to get the new technology. The sheriff says the simulator also helps deputies practice their de-escalation skills.
Nothing is that bad. Drop it and we'll talk.
So if we have the chance to de-escalate, we'll de-escalate. And that's what this gives us the option to do.
Sheriff Darrell Dick says that he'll be offering this new training system to surrounding agencies, especially those smaller departments that have a tough time getting their hands on this kind of state-of-the-art training. In Spalding County, Doug Evans, Fox 5 News.
And the Georgia Public Safety Training Center in Forsyth has an updated judgmental pistol simulator system. It allows people to engage in multiple real-world scenarios via interactive video. The trainees must determine if the use of force or the use of deadly force are appropriate courses of action given the particular scenario.
Good evening, everyone. Jeff Cox with you in the Skywatch Weather Center. 10:33 the current time on this Tuesday night. We're shaping up to have a warmer night tonight than what we had last night, thanks to some increased clouds and a nice warm flow from the south. Latest numbers in from Middle Georgia, a little bit of a split region tonight. If you're east of I-75, the 40s have really taken over, but if you're west of 75, we've still got mid and upper 50s. Look at the range of numbers tonight: 46 in Sandersville and Wrightsville, 45 in Dublin, compared to 57 in Butler and 55 in Thomaston. We're right around 50 in the metro area. Don't be surprised if temperatures actually warm up a little during the overnight hours. So by tomorrow morning, I think many of us will wake up to temperatures in the low to mid 50s. Again, we'll have a warm front coming through the area that could warm us up during the overnight hours. Also, southwest Georgia, similar setup. East of 75, low 50s. It's 50 in Homerville right now, but it's 61 in Albany, 57 up the road in Leesburg. Similar story, a little warmer by tomorrow morning with 50s and 60s on your thermometer as you start your day. In the meantime, we've got those two big winter storms we're tracking. The first in the middle part of the country. It's moving to the Great Lakes region. Winter storm number 2 just coming inland on the west coast, and it's already creating headaches in parts of California and Oregon. We have crews on the ground tracking that storm system. We'll start in western Oregon.
I'm Carson Courier, and I'm in Medford at Pacific Power, where crews are staging for potential power outages. Now, this storm is forecasted to bring hurricane-force winds to the coast and inland, but Pacific Power says they will not be doing a preventative power shutoff. Now, this is simply because there is no risk for wildfire. Crews will be responding to winter storm-based power outages. In Medford, Carson Courier.
I'm Colton Chavez reporting in West Reading. I'm actually about 5 miles west of the downtown area where, sadly down there right now, all we're experiencing is rain. But you travel just a couple miles west and it's here, folks. Snow has made its way to Reading. People in the area tell me that they only see snow about once a year. You can tell everyone's starting to get a little bit excited. While I was driving up here, people were outside in their yards taking pictures of the snow on their trees, on their cars, just really starting to enjoy the snowfall as we roll into winter. That's going to do it for us here in Reading. Back to you.
Abusing animals is now a federal crime. Less than 24 hours ago, President Trump signed the Preventing Animal Cruelty and Torture Act into law. Jayla Whitfield joining us again tonight with local reaction about the new statement in history. Jayla.
Yeah, Aaron, at one point it was unacceptable, but now it's illegal. President Trump called this law a very important signing. He believes this bill will help people be more responsible and human stewards of our planet. Now, this law will allow authorities to crack down on some of the worst acts of animal cruelty. Middle Georgia resident Virginia Turner says the measure before Trump signed the PACT Act was merely a slap on the wrist.
Cruelty, I mean, you know, we've seen cruelty to people, but there's something about a helpless creature that cannot defend itself. I mean, can to a degree, but can't really defend itself. And that animal needs protection.
Now, thousands have responded to the bill online. Our team took to social media to see what people are saying. These are just a few of those tweets. Take a look at Eric Sexton. He says, whether you like the president or not, kudos to Democrats, Republicans, and President Trump for signing PAC. Everyone can agree torturing an animal is simply wrong and needs to be stopped. And here's another tweet from Chris Shepard. He says, credit where credit is due, an actual bipartisan bill that helps the helpless. Now, many say this law is a historic leap for animals. A federal offense can be punishable with fines and up to 7 years in prison. For now, in the studio, Jayla Woodfill.
Jayla, thanks. Georgia lawmakers are mourning one of their own tonight. Representative Jay Powell collapsed and died while attending a retreat in North Georgia last night. He was elected to the Georgia House of Representatives in 2008 and was the chairman of the House Rules Committee.
It was just a sudden death, and was a good friend. He's a very, very good man, and it's rather has a lump in all of our throats, and we're still kind of numb.
Powell was 67 years old. The Towns County Sheriff's Office requested that the GBI look into his death. A Georgia sheriff's deputy killed in the line of duty was laid to rest today. Hundreds of community members and law enforcement officers showed up at Warren Baptist Church in Augusta to honor Cecil Ridley. The veteran narcotics officer was shot during a gun roundup on November 20th. The sheriff calling Ridley one of his best narcotics officers. A warning from the Better Business Bureau tonight. What to look out for if you receive a gift card this Christmas that you don't want. Happening now, thieves in Southern California are targeting older Hispanic women. They've scammed people out of tens of thousands of dollars by tricking them into cashing fake winning lottery tickets. The FBI calls it the Latin Lotto scheme, and so far, 4 defendants have been charged with several counts, including wire fraud.
We've invited you here today to ask that you help us in warning the public about a scheme which we have seen escalate in the past year, in which perpetrators target elderly victims, primarily lower-income female victims of Hispanic descent.
Officials are warning residents there to look out for their older loved ones and to tell them about that scam. Tonight, it's that time of year again where you may be receiving gift cards as Christmas presents. Well, you might enjoy them, but if you don't, Emily Swecker looked into the best way to get money back for those unwanted gift cards without getting scammed in the process.
$27 billion. That's how much money people spend on gift cards every year. According to the Better Business Bureau, $1 billion of that goes unredeemed.
Yeah, usually I use my gift cards in one way or another, but I can think of maybe once or twice that I've gotten one that I didn't like I probably still have in my wallet somewhere.
I think occasionally if someone out of town gets me one where we don't have the store, I think that's when I haven't used it.
So what do you do if you get a gift card you know you won't use?
Well, the first thing I would say is if you have friends or family who may want to purchase that gift card from you, that's your best bet, that's your safest bet.
Unfortunately, that's not always an option. You can, however, sell and buy gift cards online. But first, a warning from the BBB, stay away from sites like Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace.
That's not what they specialize in. They don't have any protections in place should someone be a scammer and want to take your money.
A quick Google search will bring up dozens of different sites. I chose 3, Clipcard, Raise, and Cardpool, to see which one would give me the biggest bang for my buck. I started with 3 $25 gift cards from Target. Here's what I found. I went to each site, typed in the amount on my gift card, found out what they'd pay me for it, then typed in the card's serial number and waited. Clipcard paid me $17.33. That's about 70% of the money on the gift card. I got a check in the mail about 2 weeks later. Raise listed my gift card on their site for $24.40. I received $20.74, about 83% of the money on the gift card, deposited directly into my bank account in 3 business days. If you aren't comfortable with providing your bank information, you can receive the money through PayPal or check. Finally, Cardpool sold my gift card and said I should receive an Amazon gift card for $18.55 in exchange within 1 business day. That was on July 26th. 4 months later, and I still have not received that gift card. The takeaway? Raise gave me the most money back in the shortest amount of time, but that involved providing my personal bank information. Julie Wheeler with the BBB says that isn't the safest option.
You want to use a site that will accept PayPal because you do have some protections there with PayPal. A lot of them will also allow you to have a check mailed to you. You don't have as much protection, and there's also a pretty big time delay.
All right, something to consider. Coming up, spiking gas prices in one country have led to violent protests. The changes made after a week of protesting.
From the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington, I'm Lindsay Mastis. A Florida man is accused of trying to hire someone to contact ISIS and have them carry out a terror attack on his behalf. 23-year-old Salman Rashid allegedly targeted the deans at Miami-Dade College and Broward College. Both are places that he had been suspended or expelled. The FBI began investigating Rashid in 2018 after finding Facebook posts in which he allegedly advocated for a violent overthrow of democracy and instead establish Islamic law. 13 French soldiers were killed in Mali when 2 helicopters collided mid-air during a mission. No one on board survived. They were flying low to support ground troops that were pursuing a group of Islamic extremists. India is marking 11 years since the Mumbai terror attacks. The attacks were carried out for 4 days and targeted 2 hotels, a Jewish community center, a hospital, and other popular locations. 164 people were killed in those attacks. At the Terrorism Alert Desk in Washington, I'm Lindsay Mastis.
Developing now, internet has been restored in Iran after a week of violent protests over gas price hikes. But the unrest has U.S. officials concerned about instability in the country. Iran is experiencing the most violent protests on its streets in many years, and they seem to have died down a little on Saturday, at least for now. When the internet was restored, it had been cut off for 5 days to prevent anti-government activists from posting content on social media. And Iran is warning the U.S. and its allies over what it says is their involvement in violent anti-government protests. But the U.S. is pledging its support for the demonstrators. Fox's Benjamin Hall has the latest.
American flags burnt on the streets of Tehran today as the regime blamed the U.S. for recent protests. Speaking during a pro-regime rally on Monday, the head of Iran's Revolutionary Guard warned the U.S. not to continue messing in their internal affairs.
If you cross our red lines, we will destroy you.
But speaking today, Secretary Pompeo said the U.S. stood by the protesters.
To the courageous people of Iran who refuse to stay silent about 40 years of abuse by the ruling regime, I say simply this: the United States hears you, we support you, and we will continue to stand with you in your struggle for a brighter future for your people and for your great nation.
The anti-government protests have spread to more than 170 towns and cities across Iran and have continued for more than 2 weeks. Estimates of the number killed range from 140 to over 400, with up to 10,000 arrested. It's difficult to know the exact numbers because the government has severely restricted internet access. The protest was sparked by a hike in gas prices, but are really about much more: corruption, poor quality of life, and support for foreign wars. As US sanctions take hold, it's now feared the regime may lash out.
The way Iran interprets the sanctions is this is an act of war against Iran. It causes economic damage, and so Iran will reach out to its adversaries and cause commensurate economic damage.
Anti-Iranian protests are also spreading across the region. In Iraq and Lebanon, protesters have also sought to throw off their influence. It is a worrying sign for the mullahs.
The State Department says it's collected 20,000 pieces of digital evidence of human rights abuses from these latest protests, making it clear that the mullahs are not afraid to be brutal when it comes to putting it down. In London, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
Current time is 10:49. Tonight, we're tracking our next weather maker, which is that big winter storm moving through the middle part of the country. Now, no winter weather for us, but it will work to bring us a little bit of rain, followed by temperatures that will go back to reality Thursday after a big warm-up tomorrow. So here's what the weather map looks like as we work our way tonight into tomorrow morning. Our big winter storm, the center of it will be up into the Great Lakes region. Very windy, wet on the east side, snowy on the back side. For us, a trailing cold front that will try to bring us a little bit of rain. Now tonight, some of you are already in the 40s, others are in the 50s. We all will warm up a little bit overnight as this warm front comes in from the southwest. Then we'll have our cold front come in during the day. That'll bring a little bit of rain, followed by cooler weather Thursday and Friday. So here's our simulated radar. Tomorrow morning, notice the timestamp, 8 o'clock. Clouds are building back in. Temperatures will be in the 50s. Now, if you blink, you'll miss the rain chance. Here it comes. I'll stop it. That's about all the rain we get in Middle Georgia. So this is not a monumental rain chance. A few showers and that's it. They'll get out of here tomorrow evening, and it's back to nice weather Thursday morning with a northwest wind, bringing in 60s Thursday after 70s tomorrow. Let's go to how much rain we expect, and this really illustrates it. If you're west of 75, you may get a few raindrops to accumulate in your rain gauge. East of 75, don't expect much at all. All right, let's go to southwest Georgia. Again, tomorrow morning, waking up to the cloud cover, a pretty mild start to the day. Then as we go through the afternoon, again, blink and you'll miss it, a thin strip of showers. They'll be isolated to scattered at best. They'll move through during the afternoon. They get out of here tomorrow evening, and it's back to sunshine for Thanksgiving morning and a wind flow coming in from the north. Here's the expected rain in southwest Georgia. Again, the lightest shade of green we've got, that maybe gets you 1/100 of an inch of rain. More than a trace, but not enough to amount to much. So in the end, not a big rainmaker. I think the next best chance of rain will come in this weekend, and the timing for that is Sunday. So right now, Saturday is the better half of the weekend. All right, let's break down what to expect. Here's your 10-day forecast. Middle Georgia, you're up first. 77 tomorrow. Then we drop it back to the 60s Thursday, Friday. We're back to the 70s Saturday. Best rain chance will be Sunday. It could impact the Macon Christmas parade, but it goes on, rain or shine. Then next week, the big story, much colder. Overnight lows in the 30s with daytime highs in the 50s. Here we are in southwest Georgia. How about 80 degrees tomorrow? Then 70s Thursday through Sunday. Showers and storms on Sunday, followed by that cool down early next week. We've got more news and weather coming up next. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Current time 10:54. Tomorrow is the busiest travel day of the season, so we spend this Thanksgiving week keeping you up to date on travel conditions across the country. Here's the national radar combined with flight delays, and we've got that 2 winter storm systems set up. The first headed for the Great Lakes region tonight, but the good news is a hub like Minneapolis or Chicago, we're okay right now. Your East Coast hub's looking great. We'll take you out west, though. San Francisco is in bad shape right now with delays, rain nearby, snow in Northern California. So San Francisco, the airport there, struggling tonight. Now, some of your family and friends, if they're flying in on the red eye tonight, they may say, hey, we were right on time, but it was bumpy up there. And here's why. The jet stream in the upper atmosphere, it is howling from southwest to northeast, and some of the planes flying right in the path of it. And so turbulence being reported by the pilots right now, it's out there, folks. And so as your family and friends come into Atlanta tonight, they fly in on the red eye, they may say, my goodness, there were a lot of speed bumps up there. A lot of orange planes on the map tonight. That represents moderate turbulence. We'll put it at a 3 out of 5 on the turbulence scale, and I suspect we'll have more of this tomorrow. So any flights tomorrow, be prepared for a little bumping and shaking up at about 30,000 feet. Aaron?
All righty, thanks, Jeff. Hey, trending tonight, Ford and Tesla are in a literal tug of war. Tesla's Elon Musk wanted to show the power off of his new Cybertruck, so he did this. You see right here. Musk unveiled the highly anticipated vehicle, dragging a screeching Ford F-150 uphill. That 16-second clip has been viewed more than 12 million times. Critics say the demonstration was unfair to Ford, noting the F-150 model is rear-wheel drive and likely weighs a lot less than the Cybertruck. A Ford executive replied to Musk on Twitter that the companies should conduct an apples-to-apples truck test. Musk replied, bring it on.
Do it.
Do it.
Go for it.
Look at that. It looks so futuristic.
Yeah. It's they've all designed these concept cars, and they all look like that, but no one ever designs one for the market. Maybe Tesla is going to break that trend.
Yeah, exactly. So usually the concept cars are the most appealing.
Right.
And, then they bring some.
Those are the ones you
generic
drew in
version of-
elementary school growing up, and now they're real.
Yeah.
Nice
Hey,
tie, by the way.
Thanks for copying my look. Yeah. He wants to be more like me. That's what this means, right?
Very talented fellow.
Exactly. That's all the time we have on this Tuesday evening. As always, thank you so much for watching.
Daily Mail is up next. Have a great night.